Hi, this is More Engadget. Today we're taking a look at the Sony Xperia T. It's the new Android flagship from Sony that was revealed at IFA earlier this year. It'll be coming to the UK next month, October, with what we suspect to be an AT&T launch, but we're still waiting for the exact details on that. Now let's just go into the finer specifications. The screen here is an LCD. It's a 4.6-inch 720p display. As you can probably tell, the viewing angles are pretty good actually. The colours hold on well, and comparing it to the Xperia S, they seem like a very similar display tech. That is, they're very sharp. The colour's pretty good. Obviously, without AMOLED, you're going to have less of that bluish tinge to everything you do. Now, aside from that screen, we've got the front earpiece here, and the primary mic you should be able to see just there. The whole phone itself has a curvature that's similar to the Arc. It's actually a fair bit thicker. It's a bit of an optical illusion really, because it's still quite a substantial slab of phone. You've got the micro USB port that's now exposed compared to previous devices, and that's also MHL, so you won't find a micro HDMI port on this device. It's all done through this port here. Along the top, you've got the headphone socket and a secondary mic, but that's about it really, as you'll find all the buttons are located on the one side. So on the left we've got the two-stage camera button, the volume rocker, and the power on switch. These are very nice metallic, solidly made buttons, and they're pretty responsive. Again, the metal finish here matches the bezel you'll find on the camera. Camera-wise, we've got a 13 megapixel primary camera, and at the front you have a 1.3 megapixel front facer. That rear facing camera comes with an LED flash and what Sony are calling sleep to snap, which means hopefully if we lock the phone and press the camera button, it should jump straight into the camera, as you can see there. I mean, it's pretty responsive. Sometimes we found that it does pause a little. Obviously you've got to hold the button pretty hard to launch the app. See, it takes a bit of time. To be honest, it's actually quicker going from sleep than going from the main menu. Software-wise, we've got Android 4.0 with a typical Xperia look to it all. This means you're going to get a mix of typical Sony widgets and Google's own offerings. If we take a look at the drop-down menu, you'll see it's a little bit different actually from other Sony phones that have already been updated to Android 4.0. There's these little shortcuts here. And you'll obviously notice that we've got on-screen Android buttons this time. If we press the multitasker, obviously there's no menu button now, you'll see that there are another extra change here. This is what Sony's calling small apps. Now these are quick access shortcuts which offer a little on-screen widget. It's pretty similar to how the Samsung Galaxy S3 offers video on top of other apps. So you can float these around, type in your numbers, and they're quickly killed. At the moment there is a button to jump into Google Play and download more, but there's actually nothing there at the moment. So for the time being we've got calculator, timer, memo, and voice memo. If we jump into the browser, there's obviously a built-in browser, but we've gone for Chrome here just to give you a more familiar look as to how web browsing will be like. And it loads relatively fast. Sometimes it is a little bit unresponsive, to be honest, but pinching to zoom works. And if we load a page, obviously this is on a Wi-Fi connection, it loads pretty quickly and you're able to hop around. The Xperia T has a dual-core 1.5 GHz processor like the S, but we found both in our benchmarks and on day-to-day use, the T was actually a lot more responsive, which is surprising given that it didn't really perform well when we got our hands on it at IFA. So if we're loading up Max Payne here, so if we just move around the game, you see the graphics look pretty smooth. It's swift enough, and I don't know, it looks like something bad's going to happen soon, so we'll move back to the normal screen. Now with the on-screen buttons, we found it's actually a little bit closer again to stock Android. It's unmistakably a Sony interface, and if you jump into the app drawer you'll find there's a plethora of Sony's content snuck into the app drawer without you knowing it. This includes their Music Unlimited service. Obviously there's videos and gaming as well, but it's still slightly underwhelming, and if you're already using Spotify and the like, you're probably not going to be convinced by what you see here. Now if you own other Sony hardware like a Bravia TV or a Blu-ray player, you might find the Media Remote app useful enough. Unfortunately, we didn't have one here to test it with, but as you can tell, it looks like it'll work through Wi-Fi and give you a broad screen to use your smartphone as your remote for these kind of devices. The Xperia T looks to be Sony's new flagship device for Europe. This is obviously the HSPA model, and the build quality is better. This back panel is now non-removable, which does mean a non-removable battery, but it feels reassuringly solid, and we'll admit it feels nicer in the hand than the Xperia S. This matte finish is slightly more solid as well. On the Xperia S, it was part of the removable panel. But we're just kind of unsure what this phone can offer beyond the S. It kind of comes down to which design of the two you'd like more. The thickness is about comparable, even though we admit the Xperia T feels better in the hand. But if you liked the see-through panel on the Xperia S, you might find that's more your thing. The Xperia S is obviously cheaper in shops as well, so it's very difficult for us to recommend this device when it's not going to offer you all that much more. You should check out the full review at engadget.com. This has been Matt. Thanks for watching.